doing Jai Radha Madhav. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivara Dari Jaya Girivara Dari Jaya Yashoda Nandana Jaya Rajana Ranjana Jaya Yashoda Nandana Jaya Rajana Ranjana Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Rajana Ranjana Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Rajana Ranjana Jaya Yamuna Tiravana Kari Jaya Kunja Vihari 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Ramchandra ki jai, Jagannath Baleswara Mani ki jai, Asim Bhagwan ki jai, Panchatattva ki jai, Guru Parampara ki jai, Shri Goswami ki jai, Giri Govardhan ki jai, Prabhupada ki jai, Gurudev ki jai, Tagore Hari Hari. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Narottamam Naramcheva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayana, unto Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nashta Prayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So, welcome all of you. Thank you for joining and keeping up the appointment with Krishna. So today, the continuation of the Bhagavatam classes for ISKCON Seshadripuram. Today we will be discussing 3rd canto, 15th chapter, verse number 38. The chapter is the description of the kingdom of God. So 3, 15, 38. Tam tvagatam pratihritau paikam swapumbhes te achakshataksha vishayam swasamadhi bhagyam hamsa shriyor vajanayo shivavayulolach chubrata patra shashikesara shikarambhum tam tvagatam pratihritau paikam swapumbhes te achakshataksha vishayam swasamadhi bhagyam hamsa shriyor vajanayo shivavayulolach chubrata patra shashikesara shikarambhum tam tvagatam pratiratau paikam swaspumbhes te chakshataksha vishayam swasamadhi bhagyam hamsa shriyor vajanayo shivavayulolach chubrata patra shashikesara shikarambhum. Can try? Anybody else?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes, please go ahead.
Tam tvagatam pratihritau paikam swapumbhes te chakshataksha vishayam swasamadhi bhagyam hamsa sriyor yajanayo shiva vayulolach supradhapatra sashikeshara shikarambhum.
Very well, very nice. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Very good. Yes, thank you. Any Mataji, anybody wants to recite? Okay, thank you very much. So we'll go to the word-to-word meaning, synonyms. Tam, him. Tu, but. Agatam, coming forward. Pratihrita, carried. Aupaikam, the paraphernalia. Swapumbihi, by his own associates. Te, the great sages, the Kumaras. Achakshata, saw. Aksha Vishayam, now a subject matter for seeing. So Samadhi Bhagyam, visible simply by ecstatic trance. Hamsa Shriyoho, as beautiful as white swans. Vajanayoho, the chamaras, bunches of white hair. Shivavayu, favorable winds. Lolat, moving. Shubra Ata Patra, the white umbrella. Shashi, the moon. Kesara, pearls. Shikara, drops. Ambum, water. Translation and purport by His Divine Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Please hear the translation and purport. The sages, headed by Sanaka Rishi, saw that the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu, who was formerly visible only within their hearts in ecstatic trance, had now actually become visible to their eyes. As he came forward, accompanied by his own associates bearing all paraphernalia, such as an umbrella and a chamara fan, the white bunches of hair moved very gently, like two swans. And due to their favorable breeze, the pearls garlanding the umbrella also moved, like drops of nectar falling from the white full moon or ice melting due to a gust of wind. Purport. Please hear the purport. It's very interesting. And see, in this verse, we find the word Achakshataksha Vishayam. The Supreme Lord cannot be seen by ordinary eyes, but he now became visible to the eyesight of the Kumaras. Another significant word is Samadhi Bhagyam. Meditators who are very fortunate can see the Vishnu form of the Lord within their hearts. How? By following the yogic process. But to see him face to face is a different matter. This is only possible for pure devotees. The Kumaras, therefore, upon seeing the Lord coming forward with his associates, who were holding an umbrella and a chamara fan, were struck with wonder that they were seeing the Lord face to face. It is said in the Brahma Samhita that devotees, being elevated in love of God, always see Shama Sundara, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, within their hearts. But when they are mature, the same God is visible before them face to face. For an ordinary person, the Lord is not visible. However, when one can understand the significance of his holy name, and one engages himself in the devotional service of the Lord, beginning with the tongue by chanting and tasting prasada, then gradually the Lord reveals himself. Thus, the devotee constantly sees the Lord within his heart, and in a more mature stage, one can see the same Lord directly as we see everything else. Jai. Srila Prabhupada's transcendental purport ki jai. Om Jnanatmarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vichetina Mano Vishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuttapada Kamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagarajatam Sahagana Raghunatamitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakatamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhana Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhescha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patidanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Yanta Pravishya Mamavacham Mamprasuptam Sanjeevayate Kalishityadarasudamnam Anyam Chahasta Charan Shravanatakadin Prana Namo Bhagavate Purushayatibhyam Namo Vishnu 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 Bhutale Shivate Mahavishnu Shantinamne Namo Vishnu 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 Bhutale Shivate Vedanta Shantinamne Visheshwana Krishna. So Hare Krishna Prabhu Mataji, what a wonderful purport, right? He says, no, we cannot see, everybody wants to see the Lord, right? But with our material eyes, we cannot see the Lord. But he reveals himself when we do the devotional service, and especially Prabhupada says in the purport, no, using the tongue. Just before that, I'll just show, yeah. The 35th verse, purport, Prabhupada says, although by chance, the doorman, who were the doorman? Jaya and Vijaya. So the Sanat Kumaras, they entered the Vaikuntha planets, right? After passing through the 6 gates, and 7th gate, they saw these doormen, but they were not allowing to have the darshan of the Lord. So the doorman committed a mistake, by checking the Brahmanas from entering the gate of Vaikuntha. So they were at once aware of the gravity of the curse. Now the Sanat Kumaras, they were Brahmanas, they will curse. So there are many kinds of offenses, but the greatest offense is to offend a devotee of the Lord. Now, because the doormen were also devotees of the Lord, because of their devotees, they were able to understand their mistake. They immediately repented, right? Otherwise, other people, they do the mistake, they don't accept the blame also. So here they were able to understand their mistake, and they were terrified, and the 4 Kumaras were ready to curse them. So the next verse, Prabhupada says in the purport, another beautiful purport, to a devotee, any heavy punishment is tolerable, but the one which affects forgetfulness of the Supreme Lord, that is not tolerable. See, the doormen, Jaya and Vijaya, who are also devotees, they could understand the punishment meted out to them, for they were conscious of the great offense they had committed by not allowing the sages to enter Vaikuntha Loka. So in the lowest species of life, including the animal species, forgetfulness of the Lord is very prominent. They cannot remember, correct? So the doormen were aware that they were going to the, where they are going, after the curse, where they will go. They will go to the criminal department of the material world. That means the material world, we are all in the material world. And this is a criminal department. We were all sent here to reform ourselves. So they knew that, and they expected that they might go to the lowest species and forget the Supreme Lord. See, being devotees, they accepted, they resented what they did. And they are asking forgiveness. Because they forget the Lord, and what will happen? So what did they pray for? They prayed, therefore, that this might not happen in the lives they are going to accept because of the curse. So in Bhagavad Gita, 16th chapter, verse number 19 and 20, it is said that those who are envious of the Lord and his devotees, they are thrown into the species of abominable life. Life after life, such fools are unable to remember the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And therefore, they continue going down and down. What a difficult situation, right? When you cannot remember the Lord. See, they were devotees. Now they're going to be cursed because of their offense to the devotee. Right? And they are praying because they resented. So this is the main good lesson we have to take. Okay, you may have made a mistake, but immediately you should repent and seek forgiveness. Then it will be forgotten. So especially if you offend a devotee of the Lord, immediately you will fall down and seek his forgiveness. That is very, very important to understand. So forgetfulness of the Lord is very, very dangerous, right? Because we have got the human form of life, and in this human form only we can remember the Lord. We can decide, we can discriminate what is good and what is bad, right? So this 37th verse, Prabhupada says, in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord declares that his devotees cannot be vanquished at any time. Name bhaktya pranashyati. My devotees will never be destroyed. So the Lord could understand that the quarrel between the doorman, Jaya and Vijaya, and the sages, Sanat Kumaras, was taking a different turn now. Therefore, he instantly came out of his place and went to stop to further aggravation so that his devotees, the doorman, might not be vanquished for good. See, he was the boss, he was the employer of the doorman, right? And did not want to lose them also. But of course, the whole pastime is done by the Lord himself, because he wanted to have a good fight. So these are the powerful doormen. They are the powerful devotees of the Lord. So now this verse we will discuss further. Sound all the more important to understand. See, the problem which arose in the heart of Arjuna, in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, that was solved by the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. So again, after the departure of the Lord from the vision of the earthly people, when Arjuna was face to face with being destroyed by some coward men, when he was going from Dwarka, he was coming back, right? He had a great power, but everything was being vanquished. So Arjuna wanted again. So at that moment, when he was in trouble, the Lord has already left, right? He was not in this world. He's already gone back to Goloka. So now Arjuna, when he was being destroyed by the small boys, right? Nothing, they don't have much power also, but there he's been vanquished. So what in that situation Arjuna did? He wanted to again remember the great teachings of Bhagavad Gita. That means in any critical circumstances, any difficulties we have in our life, what we should do? We should follow Arjuna. We should remember the great teachings of Bhagavad Gita. Because Bhagavad Gita just to teach, and he wanted to remember Bhagavad Gita just to teach all concerned that the Bhagavad Gita could be consulted in all critical times. Not only for solace from all kinds of mental agonies, but also for the way out of the great entanglements, which may embarrass one in some critical hour. So the merciful Lord left behind him the great teachings of Bhagavad Gita, so that one can take the instructions of the Lord even when he is not visible to our material eyesight. So merciful. So material senses cannot have any estimation of the Supreme Lord. But by his inconceivable power, the Lord can incarnate himself to the sense perception of the conditioned souls in a suitable manner through the agency of matter, which is also another form of the Lord's manifested energy. See, just like we have no knowledge of Krishna, initially ignorant, God's conditioned soul. So for our understanding, Krishna is so merciful, he descends as Archa Murti. So this deity which we are worshipping, that is called Archa Avatara, incarnation of Archa. So he is accepting our worship, our prayer, our everything. So he has descended just suitable for our handling. And that is his mercy. Maybe at a home it's a smaller deity, then the temple a little more bigger, right? But he has not come in his universal form, right? Very difficult to handle then. Where will you get the dresses to decorate the Lord and all, so many things, right? So he has descended just suitable for our handling. So we should not consider that this Archa, that is Krishna, is made of stone. As the atheists, they say, these foolish persons are worshipping the stone. No, we are not worshipping stone. We are worshipping Krishna. But they do not know. So Krishna has appeared before us. Now, because at the present moment, we cannot see except the stone and wood. Therefore, which is, we have to have something suitable for our vision, no? But actually, stone and wood we can see. So he has appeared in such a way. Otherwise, how can we appreciate? So the Devotee, the other people, non-devotees, they're searching for God in their way. But God is right in front of you. But more important it is forbidden in the Shastras, no? That when you worship deity, you should not think that it is made of wood or stone or something else material. No. What is this material? Matter means the energy of Krishna. Now, just like the sunshine or like the illumination of a bulb or a tube light, it is the energy of the lamp, right? So it is not different. So similarly, as Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, he says, no, Bhumi Apo Analo Vayuhu, 7.4 Bhagavad Gita. This earth, water, air, fire, anything material, that is expansion of his energy. So Krishna can accept your service through his energy. That is his omnipotency. You cannot do anything of your personal affairs with your energy. Correct? So Krishna, by his causeless mercy, he has appeared before you in a manner by which you can touch him, you can handle him, you can dress him, you can give him. This is Krishna's mercy. It is not idol worship. Therefore, it is forbidden. Don't think it is an idol like a wood or a stone or not. It is Archa. Archa Vigraha. See, the personality of God, Krishna, can be experienced only by his causeless mercy, not by mental speculation or with the help of the material senses. Material senses cannot approach the transcendental understanding of the Supreme Personality of God. He can be appreciated only by submissive devotional service when he reveals himself before the devotee. So only by love of God can one know God, not otherwise. Krishna cannot be seen with the material eyes, but he can be seen from within by spiritual eyes opened by the ointment of love of God. So as long as one's spiritual eyes are closed due to the dirty covering of matter, one cannot see the Lord. But when the dirt is removed by the process of devotional service, one can see the Lord without a doubt. So Brahmas, you can see, Brahma initially, when he came out of the lotus stem, he made a personal endeavor to see the Lord from where I am coming. He went down to the root of the lotus pipe. So he failed. He could not see. But when the Lord was satisfied with his penance and devotion, he revealed himself from within without any external endeavor. So tapasya, penance and devotion is very important. In Bhagavatam, 1st canto, 8th chapter, 18th verse, Kunti Maharani says, Namasye Purusham Tvadyam Ishwaram Prakrite Param Alakshyam Sarvabhutanam Antar Bahiravasthitam. See, here it is said, Alakshyam. Krishna is not visible. But he is so kind that he has come before you, visible to your material eyes. Krishna is not visible within this material world, material eyes. You see, just like Krishna, we are all part and parcel of Krishna, right? So all living entities, but we do not see each other. We are all part and parcel of Krishna, but we do not see each other. You cannot see me. I do not see you. So somebody said, no, I can see, I am seeing you. What do you see? You see my body. Then when the soul is gone from the body, why are you crying? My father is gone. Why father is gone? Father is lying here. Then what have you seen? You have seen the dead body of your father, not your father, dead body of your father. So if we cannot see the particle of Krishna, the soul, minute soul, 1 by 10,000, the tip of the hair, how you can see Krishna? So this blunt material eyes, with this, we cannot see Krishna or cannot hear Krishna's name. Nama Adi. Nama means name. Nama means name, form, quality, pastime. These things cannot be understood by your material blunt eyes or senses. But if they are purified, Sevon Mukehi Jihvadav. If they are purified with the process of devotional service, you can see Krishna at all times and everywhere. But for an ordinary person, Alakshyam, not visible. Krishna is everywhere. Andantarastha Paramanu Chayantarastam. So Alakshyam Sarvabhutanam. Although Krishna is outside and inside, both, still we cannot see unless we have got the eyes to see Krishna. So Prabhupada says, this Krishna conscious movement is to open the eyes how to see Krishna. And if you can see Krishna, Anta Bahi, outside and inside, then your life is successful. See, although everyone knows that the sun is constantly moving in the sky, one cannot normally see the sun moving, correct? We can see this, but we cannot see it moving. Similarly, no one can directly perceive our hair, our nails growing. Although with the passing of time, we perceive the fact of the growth. It grows, but we don't see that. So time, the potency of the Lord, is very subtle and powerful. And it's an insurmountable barrier, no, to fools who are trying to exploit the material creation. See, the king or the head executive of a state may not be seen in the government offices, or he may be engaged in royal comforts. Yet it should be understood that everything is being done under his direction and everything is at his command. Right? The Prime Minister is staying there, but everything is moving. So the personality of Godhead is never formless. In the middle world, he may not be visible in his personal form to the less intelligent class of men. Therefore, he may sometimes be called formless. But actually, he is always in his eternal form in his Vaikuntha planets, as well as in other planets of the universe has different incarnations. See, the example of the sun is very appropriate in this connection. The sun in the night may not be visible to the eyes of men in darkness, but the sun is visible wherever it has arisen. That the sun is not visible to the eyes of the inhabitants of a particular part of the earth does not mean that the sun has no form. See, the Supreme Personality of Godhead has its eternal form, which cannot be seen by material eyes or mental speculation. So only by transcendental devotional service can one understand the transcendental form of the Lord. Only by transcendental devotional service can one understand the transcendental form of the Lord. The comparison made here to the qualification for viewing the personal features of the sun god. The sun god is a person who, although not visible to our eyes, is seen from the higher planets by the demigods. We cannot see from here, or it gets bird-like. But the demigods I can see, because whose eyes are suitable for seeing through the glaring sunshine that surrounds him. See, every planet has its own atmosphere according to the influence of the arrangement of material nature. So it is therefore necessary to have a particular type of bodily construction to reach a particular planet. So the inhabitants of the earth may be able to reach the moon, but the inhabitants of heaven can reach even the fiery sphere called the sun. So what is impossible for man on earth is easy for the demigods in heaven because of their different bodies. So similarly, to see the Supreme Lord, one must have the spiritual eyes of devotional service. That's why in Ishopanishad also, the devotee, he prays that the glaring effulgence of Brahman may be removed from his eyes so that he can see the real personal feature of the Lord and thus satisfy himself fully. So although the Lord is not visible in the beginning because of his glaring bodily effulgence, if a devotee sincerely wants to see him, the Lord is revealed to him. It is said in Bhagavad Gita that the Lord cannot be seen by our imperfect eyes. He cannot be heard by our imperfect ears, and he cannot be experienced by our imperfect senses. But if one engages in devotional service with faith and devotion, then God reveals himself. See, Krishna, his form, his name, his quality, his pastimes, his paraphernalia cannot be experienced by our material senses. But if one is engaged in devotional service, sevamukhehi jihvadav, that is, that devotional service begins from jihva. Devotional service begins from jihva. Jihva is tongue. So this tongue means can be utilized in devotional service in two ways. How? Number one, namely by chanting the holy name of God, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. And two, by tasting prasadam. If first of all, one engages in his jihva, means tongue in devotional service by chanting the holy name, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare, and tasting only Krishna prasadam, not anything else. Then Krishna, being pleased by his devotional service, he manifests himself, reveals himself. And that revelation is experienced by a very highly advanced devotee. See, when one fully engages in chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, he gradually realizes his own spiritual identity. Unless one faithfully chants the Hare Krishna mantra, Krishna does not reveal himself. Sevonmukhe hi jivado swayameva hi swaratiyada. That is Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1, 2, 234. We cannot realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead by any artificial means. So we must engage faithfully in the service of the Lord. And such service begins with the tongue. What is Sevonmukhe hi jivado? Which means that we should always chant the holy names of the Lord and accept Krishna Prasada. We should not chant or accept anything else. When this process is faithfully followed, the Supreme Lord reveals himself to the devotee. So again and again, the devotional service begins with the tongue. It is also it's an astonishment, right? Service with the tongue. Yes. Service with the tongue means if you chant Hare Krishna mantra, that requires tongue. And if you simply take Krishna Prasada, that requires tongue. So with these two business of the tongue, you can realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Chant Hare Krishna and take Krishna Prasad. And gradually you will understand what is God. Therefore, this word is used. Swevan mukhe jihvado swayam eva surati adaha. Because by using the tongue, you develop Krishna consciousness, love for Krishna consciousness. We have to begin our service with unlimited, with the tongue, and become perfect in chanting and accepting Lord's Prasada. To act Lord's Prasada means to control the entire set of senses. See, the tongue is considered to be the most uncontrollable sense because it hankers for so many unwholesome eatables, right? Therefore, forcing the living entity into the dungeon of material condition of life. See, as the living entity transmigrates from one form of life to another, he has to eat so many abominable foodstuffs that finally there is no limit. So the tongue should be engaged in chanting and eating the Lord's Prasada so that the other senses will be controlled. That's why before we offer the food, Bhoga to Krishna and take his Prasadam. And before honoring Prasadam, we should not say we are eating Prasadam, we are honoring Prasadam by saying Maha Prasade Govindya, right? We see that. So chanting is the medicine and Prasada is the diet. Chanting is the medicine. Krishna Prabhupada very nicely said, chanting is the medicine and Prasada is the diet. We have read about so many diets, bro. This is the best diet. Don't go for this diet, that diet, cholesterol, everything. Just Prasada is the absolute diet. So with these processes, one can begin his service. And as the service increases, the Lord reveals more and more to the devotee. But there is no limit to his glories, and there is no limit to engaging oneself in the service of the Lord. See, Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakura, spiritual master of Srila Prabhupada, in this connection, that although one may be go on chanting Hare Krishna for many years, there is no possibility to attain the platform of devotional service unless one accepts Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because he has given, he's a munificent, so merciful, given the Hare Krishna Mahamantra just freely. So one must follow strictly the instruction of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which is given in Shikshashtaka, 3rd verse. Trinadapi sunichena, tarorapi sahishnuna, amani namana dena, kirtaniya sada harihi. He says, one should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. So one who follows this direction, being freed from the 10 kinds of offenses, becomes successful in Krishna consciousness and ultimately reaches the platform of loving service to the personality of God. So one must come to the understanding, that the holy name of the Lord and the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself are identical. One cannot reach this conclusion unless one is offenseless in chanting the holy name. See, by our material calculation, we see a difference between the name and the substance. But in the spiritual world, the absolute is always absolute. The name, form, qualities, and personality of absolute are as good as the absolute himself. So one is understood to be an eternal servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If he considers himself as an eternal servant of the holy name, and in this spirit distributes the holy name to the world. Dasanu dasa. So one who chants in that spirit without offenses is certainly elevated to the platform of understanding that the holy name and the personality of Godhead are identical. So to associate with the holy name and chant the holy name is to associate with the personality of Godhead directly. When you take the beats and chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, you are associating directly with the Lord. That's why in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, it is clearly said, Sevan ke jivado swayam eva surati ada. The holy name becomes manifest when one engages in the service of the holy name. So this service in a submissive attitude begins with one's tongue. One must engage his tongue in the service of the holy name. So Prabhupada says, no, our Krishna conscious movement is based on this principle. What is that? We try to engage all the members of the Krishna conscious movement in the service of the holy name. Since the holy name and Krishna are not different, the members of the Krishna conscious movement not only chant the holy name of the Lord offenselessly, but also do not allow their tongues to eat anything that is not first offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's why the Supreme Lord declares, no, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yome Bhaktya Prayachiti Tadaham Bhakti Upahartam Ashnami Prayatatmanaha. If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, flower, a fruit, or water, I will accept it. 9.26 of Bhagavad Gita. So therefore, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, ISKCON, has many temples all over the world. And in each and every temple, the Lord is offered these foods. So on the basis of his demands, the devotees chant the holy name of the Lord offenselessly and never eat anything that is not first offered to the Lord. So the functions of the tongue in devotional service are to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and eat prasadam that is offered to the Lord. Two functions. That's why I see in Bhagavatam, very beautiful verse, 1.6.25. First canto, 6th chapter, 25th verse. My Guru Maharaj insisted that this verse is the basis for the whole of Hare Krishna movement. And so he recommended and encouraged and insisted that everyone should memorize this verse, translation and the purport. Etavadukvo pararamatanmahat bhutam nabholingam alingam ishwaram aham chatasmai mahatam mahise Shishnāvanāmam vidade anukampita. Please hear the translation purpose. So wonderful. The translation is thus: the endowed supreme authority, personified by sound and unseen by eyes, but most wonderful, stopped speaking. Feeling a sense of gratitude, I offered my obeisance to him, bowing my head. This is Narada Muni's praise. Beautiful. See, the purport that the personality of Godhead was not seen but only heard does not make any difference. The personality of Godhead produced the four Vedas by his breathing and is seen and realized through the transcendental sound of the Vedas. Similarly, the Bhagavad Gita is a sound representation of the Lord and there is no difference in identity. The conclusion is that the Lord can be seen and heard by persistent chanting of the transcendental sound. Srila Prabhupada's transcendental purport. Wonderful. See, the importance of this verse, 1.6.25 Bhagavatam. You should say, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So generally what happens, we don't have any faith in the holy names of Krishna. That is the general faithlessness. So it is very nicely said in the pages of Bhagavatam that the whole atmosphere in Kali Yuga is surcharged with faithlessness. We don't have Shraddha. At all. Shraddha means faith. So in order to cultivate the faith, these pages of Bhagavatam are very, very important. And in that also, the chapter, 6th chapter of first canto, and the 25th verse is very important to increase our faith. So to increase the faith, we have to understand the 25th verse from 6th chapter of first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. See here, the second line gives us the idea of Krishna's existence. Etavadukto paramatan mahat bhutam nabho lingam alingam ishvara. Bhutam means wonderful. We can never understand Krishna because we are covered by the layers of ignorance. Nabho lingam, personified by sound, and alingam, unseen by eyes. And we want to see him by eyes. See, frankly speaking, everything we believe in this life with our seeing. Correct? You show me, then I will believe. So suppose in a program, one Prabhu has come from, for example, Dubai. I didn't see him boarding the plane. I didn't see him getting out of the plane. But I believe that he might have come by the plane. How did I know? See, unless you board the plane, you cannot come, right? How is it possible? But when it is regarding Krishna, we want to see him. We believe the rest of the things without seeing. For example, when Prabhuji or Mataji, you may know the Sanskrit words by heart, memorizing. I also know that since last so many years, you might have practiced that. For that every day, doesn't mean I have to come to your house to see your face that you're practicing, right? But I know your practice, that's why you're able to recite. So everything we believe without seeing. But when it comes to Krishna, we want to see. This is our rascaldom, which Prabhupada always says, right? That's why in Shikshashtakam, second verse, Namna Makari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis, Tatrarpita Niyamita Smaranena Kalaha, Etadrishi Tavakripa Bhagavan Mamapi, Durdaivam Nidarsham Mihajani Nanu Ragaha. Please hear this translation. Oh my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. Oh my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by chanting your holy names. But I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. See, as stated by personally by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, is that he is really realized proportionately by the transcendentalists as Brahman, Paramatma, and Supreme Personality of God. Bhagavan, right? See, in confirmation of the same statement, Krishna, who awards the impulse list the pleasure of Brahman realization by his bodily effulgence, he also gives pleasure to the devotees as the Supreme Personality of God. So those who are unable, for example, those who are under the spell of this external energy, Maya, take him only as a beautiful child. Yet he gave full transcendental pleasure to the cowherd boys who played with him in Vrindavan. So only after accumulating lots of pious activities were those boys promoted to be personally associated with Krishna. Who can estimate the transcendental fortune of the residents of Vrindavana? They were personally seeing the Supreme Personality of God face to face, for whom many yogis cannot find, even after undergoing severe austerities, right? Although he's sitting in the hearts of everyone. So this is confirmed in Brahma Samhita. So one may search for Krishna through the pages of Vedas and Upanishads, but it is difficult to find him here, there. However, one who is fortunate enough to associate with a devotee can see the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face. So after accumulating pious activities in many, many previous lives, the cowherd boys of Vrindavana were seeing Krishna face to face and playing with him as friends. See, they could not understand that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but they were playing as intimate friends and with intense love for him. See, the Shyamasundara form of Krishna is inconceivable. It's a simultaneous, personal and impersonal self form. So true devotees see that form in their purified hearts under the influence of devotional trance. See, the form Shama is not the blue color visible in the mundane world, but it's a transcendental, variegated color affording eternal bliss, and it's not visible with the mortal eye. See, on the consideration of a trance of Vyasadeva in 174 Bhagavatam, it will be clear that the form of Sri Krishna is a full personality of Godhead and can only be visible in the heart of a true devotee, and which is only the true seat in the state of trance under the influence of devotion. See, when Krishna manifested himself in Vyasadevji, both the devotees and non-devotees saw him with this very eye, but only the devotees cherished him, eternally present in Vraja, as the princeless jewel of their heart. So nowadays, also the devotees see him in Vraja in their hearts, because they are saturated with devotion, although they don't see him with their eyes. The eye of devotion is nothing but the eye of pure, unalloyed spiritual self of the Jiva. The form of Krishna is visible to that eye in proportion to its purification by the practice of devotion. Please hear this statement once again of Prabhupada. The form of Krishna is visible to that eye in proportion to its purification by the practice of devotion. And when the devotion of the neophyte reaches the stage of Bhava Bhakti, the pure eye of that devotee is tinged with love by the grace of Krishna, which enables him to see Krishna face to face. So the phrase in their hearts means Krishna is visible in proportion as their hearts are purified by the practice of devotion. So the sum and substance of this shloka is that the form of Krishna, who is Shyamasundara, Natavara, best dancer. Muralidhara, holder of the flute. And Tribhanga, triple bending. It's not a mental concoction, but it's transcendental and is visible with the eye of the soul of the devotee under trance. See, there's a question with regard to Ishopanishad Mantra 15. Should a devotee ask the Lord to reveal himself? The answer is yes, Prabhupada says. Unless the Lord reveals himself, the devotee cannot see him. He reserves the right of being exposed or not being exposed. So the Yogamaya curtain is always covering the Lord. And in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord says, I am not visible to everyone. Even in the material world, a man in the position of president is not visible to everyone. So one has to qualify himself by devotional service. Then the God will reveal himself, right? So this Ishopanishad mantra is an appeal by the devotees to the Lord to move the wheel of Yogamaya or the glaring effulgence of Brahma so that the devotee can see him face to face. The idea is one has to transcend the material conditions as well as the Brahman effulgence. Then one can see the Supreme Personality of God. So the word face means the absolute truth is a person. That is most important point. That God is ultimately a person, it's not impersonal. See, there are many Shastric injunctions which give instructions for carving forms of the Lord, right? They're creating the Vigraha, right? So these forms are not material. If God is all-pervading, then He is also in the material elements. There is no doubt about it. But the atheists, they think otherwise. Although they preach that everything is God, when they go to the temple and see the form of the Lord, they deny that He is God. They say it's only stone or something like that, wood. So according to their own theory, everything is God. Then why the deity is not God? Actually, they have no conception of God. The devotee's vision, however, is different. Their vision is smeared with the love of God. Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochana. So as soon as they see the Lord in his different forms, the devotees become saturated with love. Because they do not find any difference between the Lord and his form in the temple, which the atheists do. See the smiling face of the deity in the temple, so beautiful, no? The devotees, they feel that it's transcendent and spiritual. And the decoration of the body of the Lord is very much appreciated by the devotees. Such the beautiful ornaments, the dress, color, the effulgence, so wonderful. So it is the duty of the spiritual master to teach how to decorate the deity in the temple, how to cleanse the temple, and how to worship the deity. See, there are different procedures and rules and regulations which are followed in temples of Vishnu. And devotees go there and see the deity, the Vigraha, and spiritually enjoy the form because all of the deities are benevolent. Really, in the purport of 325-35, Prabhupada is giving the solution. What are the steps we should follow? So the devotees express their minds before the deity. Come in front of the deity, you can speak, right? And in many instances, the deity also gives answers. But one must be a very elevated devotee in order to be able to speak with the Supreme Lord. Sometimes the Lord informs the devotee through dreams. So these exchanges of feelings between the deity and the devotee are not understandable by the theists. Actually, the devotee enjoys them. That's why Kapila Muni in the chapter, wonderful chapter, 3rd canto, 25th chapter. Kapila Muni is explaining how the devotees see the decorated body and face of the deity and how they speak with him in devotional service. See, because of this mature position in yogic meditation, Dhruva Maharaj, you're constantly observing the form of the personality of God Krishna within his heart. Because Narada Muni had instructed him, when he was going to the forest to see the Lord. So he was meditating. The form was there in the heart, as Narada Muni had described to him. But all of a sudden, when the Supreme Personality of God disappeared from his heart, he thought that he had lost him. Dhruva Maharaj was perturbed. But upon opening his eyes and breaking his meditation, he saw the form of the Lord before him. So the Brahma Samhita is said, Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochana. A saintly person who has developed love of Godhead by devotional service always sees the Lord's transcendental form of Shyamasundara. So this Shyamasundara form of the Lord within the heart of a devotee is not imaginary. That's why Dhruva Maharaj was, when he lost himself in the heart when he was meditating. Suddenly when he saw him, he didn't know what to say. He wanted to glorify the Lord, but even prayers were not coming in front of him, right? So Krishna, he has within the heart of everyone. He knows what is the motive, what does he want to do. Immediately, he touched Dhruva Maharaj with his conch on his head, right? And immediately, Dhruva Maharaj started wonderful prayers, Dhruva's prayers. One of them immediately was Yonta Pravishya Mamavacham Imam Prasuptam Sanjeev Vayati Akila Shakti Dharaswadhamnam Anyam Chahasta Charana Shravanatvagādīn Prana Namo Bhagavate Purushaya Tubhyam. So when a devotee becomes mature in his prosecution of devotional service, he sees face to face the same Shyamasundara he has thought of during the entire course of his devotional service. What a wonderful, encouraging statement with Prabhupada. He says, when a devotee becomes mature in his prosecution of devotional service, he sees face to face the same Shyamasundara he has thought of during the entire course of his devotional service. So since the Supreme Lord is absolute, the form within the heart of a devotee, the form in the temple, and the original form in Vaikuntha, Vrindavan Dham, are all the same. They are non-different from one another. Thank you very much for this, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Grantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Gurudev Chinta Gaur Premanande Hari Gaur. Vancha Kalpatar Vijikripa Sambhudaya Patidanam Pavan. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to glorify the Lord and also the lessons trying to learn. Everybody wants to have the darshan of the Lord, right? Of course, we are going and having the darshan of the Lord. We go and pay dandavats and come out, right? That's all. We don't see the Lord perfectly. I think previous classes, just one of the meditation of the Lord is by seeing the ornaments of the Lord. That is also wonderful meditation. That thereby you can have the wonderful darshan. We go to see the Lord in the temple. Within 1 second, we pay dandavats and go away. We really don't have the darshan of the Lord. So see what all the darshans is decorated with, one by one, right from the lotus feet up to the mukut, right? Then you can really, that itself is a seeing of the Lord. But if you do it sincerely, it will be very wonderfully done. Before closing, I'll just ask one question. 2 things we have to do by which Krishna will reveal himself. What are the 2 things?
By chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra and having the Krishna Prasad.
Yes. These 2 we will do by which sense? Through which sense we will be doing these 2?
Devotional service? Tongue.
No, tongue. Correct. The business of a tongue, right? One is chanting through the tongue and one is eating prasad through the tongue. Very nice. Very well. Thank you, Prabhuji. These 2 things, this is the 2 business. So just by chanting, that's what we are doing. So just by chanting and eating prasada, gradually Krishna will reveal himself. We do it 100% faith. Otherwise, Kali Yuga is faithless, full of faithlessness. So we have to develop that faith. Thank you very much, Hare Krishna. If anybody has any questions or any realization or any takeaway, which will be beneficial for them to put it into practice in their daily lives. Okay, nothing is there, we can stop. Thank you very much, Guru Mataji. Hare Krishna. Jagannath Baldeswara ki jai. Gurudev. Shall we close, Prabhu?
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Pasamadi. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for letting us know the importance of the tongue and how to use it properly.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhuji. Hare
Very
Krishna.
well. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Thank you, Mataji. Take care and be safe. Hare Krishna.